Hello.
Good evening and welcome to the CASAA update for the week of 6/8/2015. Hi, Alex. How are you this evening?
I'm just back from a trip, so I'm getting caught up.
Okay. How was it?
Very brief and a little hectic, but I'm home now.
Very, very brief. Well, at least it was something that had nothing to do with vaping. So
Yes.
It was kind of a change.
Yeah, it was a personal trip, so that was good. I did, however, meet a fellow vapor while in Canada,
Nice.
and that was fun.
Yeah.
We both broke out our devices while sitting at lunch in a restaurant, and of course we both vaped away, and no one said anything. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain of the law. I don't know if the entire province of Quebec has prohibited use in public places, but whatever. No one said anything to us, so we were fine.
It's a good thing. Well, I think even when they make these laws, I think most people are unaware of them. So, you know.
Yes, for a combination of reasons, one of which being the laws are ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
no surprise that a 5-year-old law in New Jersey is seldom followed. Don't know why
Well,
it should be followed anywhere else.
well, did you see what they're trying to do this week?
I don't even know. I'm just getting with what hit at the end of last week. That is still an ongoing issue. I haven't even begun. I know that New York is looking at a bill. I don't have it in front of me. It's an assembly bill,
Right.
which we haven't. It actually was not in that. We released a call to action for New York back in January, and it had, I think, half a dozen bills that were pre-filed or had just been introduced.
Right.
This was not one of them. It is one of, I believe, 3 or 4 indoor use bans in the state of New York. So mentioning it should suffice for linking to it in the description for this update. I assume we will get a call to action out. I seriously just walked in the door like 15 minutes ago, so I haven't had a chance to see how that hearing went. Probably won't see much of an update until tomorrow. But something to be on the lookout for. And yes, I mean, there's still, like I said, there's half a dozen bills or more. I think somebody may have counted up 9 bills in New York. Some of them are not a threat. Like I believe the flavor ban in New York. I believe that is it Rosenthal?
Rosenthal.
Rosenthal.
Yeah.
She expressed a lack of enthusiasm in pursuing that bit of legislation this year. So that may not be much of an issue. Anyway, enough of New York. I just spent most of my day driving through New York, so I'm sort of over it.
Should I tell you about New Jersey so you can get excited and happy?
Okay.
New Jersey recently filed legislation. I don't know exactly when they're going to vote on it, but I was reading it the other day. They plan on banning smoking in cars with children. That's fine, except that they add the definition of vaping to the definition of smoking. So,
well,
yeah.
Thanks to the Indoor Clean Air Act, smoking now includes vaping everywhere. So anytime you see any kind of smoking prohibition creeping up in New Jersey, it sort of automatically includes vaping, unless they go that extra mile to exclude it, which there is a bill currently in the Assembly that would carve out an exemption for vapor shops.
Nice.
But New Jersey is one of those states that goes kind of all year long. So we've got a few months left before anything dramatic happens with that.
Okay.
But yes, I did actually see the no vaping in cars with minors bill. Yeah.
Something to get psyched up about. I'm sure we'll be talking about it in the future.
Yep, I'm real excited for it. Well, to the nitty gritty here, I assume that most people who follow our what we put out closely are aware that there is a huge battle going on in Kansas that is so much larger than vaping. But apparently Kansas is in a lot of trouble. And our issue is sort of swept up in the mix. I like I said, just walked in the door, so I'm not actually sure where the Kansas legislature is with any particular bill. But following posts on Facebook, it sounds like there is a very somewhat potentially disastrous tax bill going through the House. This includes a 20-cent per milliliter tax on e-liquid. This, I believe, should be no secret. This is something that's being advanced by R.J. Reynolds. They managed to get the kind of tiered distribution regulation out of this bill, but the tax is still on the table because the state, I believe, is still trying to come up with $400 million. I've heard everything from $400 million to $780 million. It tends to go back and forth depending on what bills have been passed at any given hour. So Kansas is a huge mess, and I think the past 3 or 4 days now, we've been told that this could happen today. All of this could be over today, and it sort of drags on into the next day. So, and we've had sort of some lukewarm participation in Kansas on our call to action. Other people have been doing stuff, so apparently folks have actually been engaging with lawmakers to the extent that they can.
Right.
This is the legislature sort of gone into overtime. They haven't sort of gone. They are actually in overtime here. So legislative staffers have gone home for the session. There's nobody answering phones. If you get through to anybody, I guess lawmakers are answering their cell phones. And there's email, which may or may not be getting read. It doesn't really sound like they have a whole lot of time. And then, of course, there was sort of some back and forth on Twitter over the weekend. So it's a really dramatic situation there. Our call to action is still up. It's still active. I actually had to update one of the links on our website. But anyway, so that's Kansas. This hopefully will not get any worse than a 20-cent per milliliter tax. And fingers crossed, we just don't have a tax at all. So Kansas, that's that. The next thing that will probably be blowing up this week is Louisiana. I believe this was SB 119. I don't know if the bill number has changed, but this is another one of those very tiny, it appears to be palatable taxes, 5, 10 cents, something like that. And again, being likely pushed by a major tobacco company. I apologize for being unprepared today. This is, again, the end of the session tends to be where everybody, I guess, starts to work on these revenue issues. And so it's down to the wire. There's a lot of stuff that absolutely has to pass in order to keep the government open. And so things like this, I think, are likely to be snuck in at the last minute. So I believe we do have a call to action up and running for Louisiana. Yes, we do. Let's see, I updated this last week. As far as I know, this is still in play. And I know that there are folks reaching out to vendors in Louisiana, trying to get them engaged and hopefully getting their customers engaged. But yeah, this is something that could move quickly. And like I said, it's a 5 cent per milliliter tax. So, you know, I have to emphasize this again, because I found myself in a brief conversation on Facebook with somebody questioning how 5 cents per milliliter was at all damaging. And just so we're clear, once the language is in the code, it's very easy to bump that up. There was already, I believe, an attempt this year. I don't think it went very far, but I think there was an attempt to raise the existing e-liquid tax in North Carolina, which I believe just this month went into effect. So it hadn't even gone into effect yet, and people are talking about raising it. And of course, Minnesota saw another attempt to raise their tax on e-liquid. What was just a wholesale tax would have been a tax on consumable material. So again, they could charge, you know, a fraction of a cent per milliliter, and we would come out and oppose it just as strongly. There is no gray area with these taxes. So,
no, once the language is there, they can run with it. We oppose all taxation. As a consumer group, that's our prerogative, I think.
So, yes. So Kansas, Louisiana, and I got a note from Aaron Frazier from the Utah Smoke-Free Association. June 17th, it's a Wednesday, the Utah Revenue and Taxation Interim Committee will be meeting, and item 3 on their agenda is taxation of e-cigarettes. Obviously, this is sort of out of session, so as far as I understand it, you know, they're not voting on any legislation, but this is an opportunity for stakeholders to get engaged. There is even a little line in here for public comment. So I know that Aaron is working on putting out their call to action. We will likely put something out as well. Fortunately, we've got a good week lead into this. So Utah, you're on alert again. Oh, man. And of course, and I just want to mention this because, of course, usually I get these on a Friday, but they rolled in today. I have a bunch of local alerts that I just want to mention so that we can link into it. Again, I usually only get 24-hour notice on these, so this might not actually be very helpful. I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to get done tonight. But there is a whole slew of local alerts. I'm just going to rattle through the names. Coconino County, Arizona. Paramus Borough, New Jersey. I read that. That's bumping up the age to 21. Okay. I can't pronounce that. Sagadahoc County, Maine. If anybody is from Sagadahoc County, Maine, and they hear this and they'd like to correct me, please send a video response to Our YouTube channel, because we'd love to pronounce your county name properly. And oh, this is for county-owned vehicles and property. So I'll have to look into that and see how that's written. But that's sort of like prohibiting use in City Hall, not a huge deal. Unless, of course, you work for the county, then you might want to take it up with your supervisor. Upper Arlington, Ohio. This is a third alert. Not quite sure. It looks like raising the age of sale to 21.
Tobacco 21. That's going to be big this year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going all over the place.
It is.
And it really is unfortunate that e-cigarettes are getting lumped. I mean, it's unfortunate that e-cigarettes are getting lumped in with all of this everywhere. But yeah, again, this is one of those things that I think, you know, you're doing 18-year-old, you know, to be honest, and this is not an endorsement of saying that kids should use these products, but you know, in all honesty, you're doing 16-year-olds a pretty big disservice by making these all that much more difficult to get, because they're still going to get cigarettes. It's still going to be relatively easy for them to get combustible tobacco. And you know, I think that I actually believe that some of the studies that were presented at the CASAA conference in Chicago, and you know, some of the stuff that we're going to see in other conferences, a lot of the emerging science is showing that these products, you know, nicotine removed from the cigarette smoke is presenting less of an abuse liability or addiction liability, however you choose to just define either one of those terms. So, yeah, again, it's just. And of course, California, Santa Clara County, California.
Again.
Tobacco 21. Just all of California. From now until the end of time, you are always on high alert for everything. Just
he's not wrong.
If you imagine that there could or should be a law about something, there's probably a lawmaker in California already contemplating it. So might just dream up something that they might regulate and go ahead and write a letter about it. And you can probably hit the mark. So I think that's all I've got. Because I just walked in the door and haven't checked a whole lot of stuff. Kansas was the big drama this weekend. And I did get some encouraging news out of Ohio. I'm going to have to... I think there's still a chance that Ohio is, let's see, looks like the Senate president in Ohio was acknowledging the harm reduction potential of electronic cigarettes, which is a great thing, and may very well make arguments supporting a tax on these products very weak. So there seems to be a little ray of hope in Ohio. Of course, all the more reason for people to continue sending emails to their lawmakers encouraging them to oppose any tax on these products.
Nice.
But that's not a bad bit of good news to end up an update with.
No, it's very good news. And when I'm done, I will come give you a hand.
Okay.
What I can.
Like I said, I don't know how many of these we're actually going to
just
activate. So
right, just if you just forward stuff to me in my email, I'll take a look when I'm done. See what I can wrangle up.
Cool.
Happy to.
Cool. And so, as always, please take action and encourage your lawmakers to support HR 2058.
58.
Not just support it, but co-sponsor.
Co-sponsor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
Thank you, Alex. If you're not already a member of CASAA, please join CASAA. You can find us at CASAA.org. Come join the conversation on our official Facebook page, which would be CASAA.org on Facebook. And there's the member group, We Are CASAA. Those are the official Facebook pages. We are CASAA Media on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, God, I don't even know what else. But just search CASAA.org or CASAA Media in Google and you will find us. Please join us so that we can help you fight unjust laws and taxation. Thank you, Alex. Have a good night, and I'll see you in a bit.
Great. Thanks.
Good night.
See ya.